Let's speak now to Alex de Koning, who is from Just Stop Oil. Alex, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me on the show.
Alex, can you tell me a little bit behind the protest in today's Lords? What's the thinking behind it? Why are you targeting Lords specifically for a reason, or are you just trying to get as much publicity as possible?
We're not targeting Lords, we're targeting the silence. Sadly, the climate crisis doesn't get spoken about anywhere near as much as it should, considering it's the greatest threat that humanity has ever faced. Well, let's talk about the context behind why we're doing this, because ultimately that's the only thing that matters. I completely agree. Under normal circumstances, it should be unacceptable. Doing disruption for disruption's sake is not okay, but this is not normal circumstances. We have thousands of fish washing up on our shores in the UK, in Texas, in Thailand, New York. People couldn't go outside because of the smoke from from wildfires in Canada.
Okay.
Like, this is an insane situation we're in right now. We have so many people dying from heat strokes all the time. Last summer, 40,000 people died across Europe from heat.
Alex,
it's going to get worse this year, isn't it?
Let me just interrupt you there. You're talking to three broadcasts here, Christo, Sangeeta and myself. We have all been covering the climate crisis to an extended degree. I know Christo does, I know Sangeeta does as well, I know that I do as well. Are you seriously saying that we're not giving it enough airtime? And are you not worried about what one of your initial founders has said, that what you are doing now is counterproductive? You're getting people who are looking... No, I'll let you come back, don't you worry. Who are looking at what you're doing and are saying, hang on a minute, this is now getting too much. I can't get to school, I can't go pick up my kids, I can't get to my hospital appointment. And you're actually losing support, whereas you could have got support.
Alexis, I'm not saying you specifically are not reporting on the climate crisis enough. As a society, we are not talking about the greatest issue that humanity has ever faced. And it's not just talking about the climate crisis, not just talking about the symptoms, it's talking about the causes and the drivers of the climate crisis. We are not forming in people's minds the connection between oil and gas and the wildfires in Canada. We're not forming the connection between oil and gas and the fact that 10 million people a year die from fossil fuel air pollution. 1 in 5 of all deaths globally, more deaths than HIV, malaria and tuberculosis combined. These are the conversations that we need to be having.
Okay, Alex, Sangeeta's got a question for you.
Alex, I agree with you. Those are the conversations we should be having. I do agree that we are facing a climate crisis, and I also agree with you that the government isn't going to meet its own emissions targets because it hasn't acted quickly enough. But what I would also add, and I suspect that this will also be echoed by the fellow broadcasters that are on the panel with me, is that every time you hold a protest like this at Lords, or, for example, the Chelsea Flower Show, where actually there's a pretty naturally sympathetic audience for you, or even at Glastonbury, again, that had set up, as I understand it, a green energy supply for the festival, what you're doing is turning the conversation towards your tactics rather than the climate crisis. And in that respect, I would suggest, for Just Stop Oil, you've reached a tipping point where your methods are no longer going to achieve the aim that you are trying to get to. And that's why I would say it's worth you thinking about the way in which XR are going about things.
Can I come back on that, please? Let's talk about Extinction Rebellion. I have so much love for Extinction Rebellion. In April, they had 90,000 people outside Parliament Square. They did everything you're talking about doing, and it got zero media coverage.
That's not true.
On the same week, 2 people from Just Stop Oil climbed onto a snooker table and threw orange powder paint. They disrupted the match for, 10 minutes? And that got everybody talking about the climate crisis. It got more people talking about the climate crisis than when the latest IPCC report came out.
But Alex, they're not talking about the climate crisis, Alex.
Alex,
they're talking about your tactics, not the crisis.
I think you're missing that point that Sangeeta is making. Just one last question, Alex, because I want to find out what people are saying at home. What did you make of Jonny Bairstow's action? He picked one of your fellow protesters up and removed him off the pitch. Do you think that sets a dangerous precedent?
I think it does, yes. I'm tired of having to defend why we shouldn't be assaulted. We're ordinary, peaceful people. And every time in history...
Did you see that as assault? Did you see...
No, I don't see that as assault, but there has been assaults on Just Stop Oil activists before. And I am tired of being an ordinary person being shoved around, and only the hatred is shown on the media. We get a lot of support, and the fact that people support people who are causing disruption is insane. But the reason why they do it is because they know how bad the climate crisis is, and they know that it's not being talked about.
I'm sorry, I have to jump in, because what I see as an assault on the freedoms that you want to take away from us. Why aren't you honest about what you want, which is us to stop taking flights abroad, for us to stop... Would you like me to read what's on your website? I'll read it.
Crystal, I have to leave it there because I have to go to break. And believe me, I don't want to go to break, but I have to go to break. But first of all, we're going to keep your calls coming in on this. Whether Jonny Bairstow was a hero for carrying a Just Stop Oil protester off the pitch. Sally joins us from Devon. Sally, good afternoon. Thank you for giving us your time. What do you reckon?
I think he was a hero. I think the Just Stop Oil people, I'd like to know exactly how much oil they've actually saved by their protest. I don't think they've saved any oil at all. They could use their time more productively to raise money to do things like people in the countryside have to heat with oil. They could raise enough money to get people so they could get off oil heating and put in heat pumps or lots of other different things they could do more productively. This would give them a good platform for people. They could raise money and say, we'll give poorer people electric cars.
Sally, it sounds like to me that you are perhaps, am I right, would I be right in saying you're sympathetic with what they're trying to do, but you're not quite sure about the means with which they're trying to achieve it?
I'm not sympathetic to them. I understand there is, I do believe in global heating, and I think we need to do something about it. I think
Sally,
they're a load of idiots, and I think you actually, and I think you're encouraging their silly pranks by constantly having them on the television.
Yeah.
I went to cricket, to watch the cricket in Australia, and I seem to be sitting with the rowdy lot. They were trying to have a whip round so they could afford to, someone could afford to streak across the pitch. I think that what you should do is not give these people
Sally, thank you. Sally, thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm short on time, but I'm going to put your points to Alex, who's with us still, who is from Just Stop Oil. You've heard there what Sally's saying. She believes in global warming. She believes that something needs to be done, but she's not really taken in or supporting your tactics.
Yeah. Well, it's a great question. I am a climate scientist. I do that during the day, but I also do Just Stop Oil, because ultimately what we do as scientists means nothing if the government is still opening up over 100 new oil and gas licenses. Everything else is mopping up with the tap open while they're doing that. It's going to triple our carbon emissions for the entire country, just like those 100 oil and gas fields alone. Look, what we need to be talking about is the solutions, because ultimately oil and no new oil is not just what Just Stop Oil is saying. It's what the UN is saying, the WHO is saying, it's what the IPCC reports.
Sorry to interrupt you. Alex,
the governments of Scotland, Ireland,
sorry
Wales.
to interrupt you one more time.
So please stop saying that it's just a Just Stop Oil demand.
It doesn't work if we're all talking at the same time. I'm interrupting you because I want to go back to the point that Sangeeta made, which is you keep saying what we need to be talking about is this. But actually, because of your stunts, what everyone's talking about is what happened at Lord's, what happened at the Chelsea Flower Show. Do you appreciate that we're spending more time talking about your stunts than we're actually talking about what you want us to talk about? So perhaps your actions, the way you're going about it is not working.
I mean, you can choose to frame this debate however you want. Why aren't you reframing the debate as to why is Just Stop Oil doing what they're doing? Because ultimately, the best way to just stop oil is to just stop new oil. So we're only going to end the disruption when the government make a meaningful statement to end new oil and gas. So of course, we need to be talking about oil and gas licenses, not just about the climate crisis. We need to be doing whatever we can as everybody, be that either doing disruption and following in the path of the suffragettes or writing to your MP or doing whatever. But we all need to be taking action because it's the biggest crisis that humanity has ever faced. Alex, and we can't just sit around anymore.
Alex, thank you. Thank you for your time. I really do appreciate it. I'm going to have to leave it there. Alex de Koning there from Just Stop Oil.